Hello everybody, this is Angelo Hunter, aka your boy Jello and the Inspiration Hunter. I've had several podcasts in the past. It's been about 5 months since I've addressed you beautiful people out there, but I thought I owed you big time. We've got a lot of funky stuff going on out there. I just want to make sure that you guys are taking care of each other, and we all know that we are in this together. So I was going to actually do this on St. Patty's Day, but I decided to give you guys a breath and give myself a breath and really observe what's going on out there and give you my opinion and my current philosophy on the state of what's going on out there, and also to give you some, a little bit of levity. Never hurt nobody. And what I mean by that is that we are in this together, and we need to act like we are in this together. And I figure since we all have a lot of time on our hands, I should probably do a podcast. So this is actually episode 9. You can find the Your Boy Jello podcast pretty much everywhere that you can find a podcast. We're working on some other things as far as getting some creative sponsors to join us. And I'm sorry if you hear anything crazy in the background. We're actually having to do this in my other area as opposed to my little studio nook. But that's all right, because we are going to get through this. All right, so check it out. As you might hear me adjust, I want to talk about the spectrum of human emotions and exactly the 33 P.E.S. and the 32 N.E.S, and we will get into that right now. So, all right, let's get back into what we really need to talk about right now. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to share some things that I've been reading about, some things that I've studied in the past with some of my mindset mentors. You have to excuse me. I just got finished going for a nice little run. And what I want to help you understand is that there is a reason why people are flipping out and freaking out and bottoming out, and the worst thing you could possibly do is sit on your hands and not do anything. And what I mean by that is keep your same pace of life if you're feeling healthy. If not, check in on your elderly and your loved ones that you are not able to get connected with. And that means people that aren't living in your humble abode. So let me get right into this. And that was my PSA for the day. And let me get into what I was talking about right here, the spectrum of human emotions. Now, you could take this. This is supposed to be informative. I'm not a psychologist nor a psychiatrist. I am what they call a mindset coach. What does that mean? That is pertaining to helping others understand and break through their perceived limited beliefs, whether that's in fitness or in your everyday life activity. So we all have things that we know that are holding us back. And we see a lot of people living right now in fear, and that is a really freaky emotion, because usually when you fall into the fear category, you fall into out of control category, meaning you start treating people really crappy. So if you see this, I want you to understand these different things. So the P.E.S. are the positive emotional states, and the N.E.S, if I haven't already said this acronym, the negative emotional states, as stated by not just me, but overall people that are involved in emotional health and emotional intelligence. And we'll get into that right now. So I'm going to start with the negative ones first, because I think those are very, very poignant, and to understanding why some people are acting the way they are without actually taking the time to understand why they are acting that way. So why don't we try to understand why they're doing that together? So I'm just going to list off. I have to take a drink here. Let's just list off the negative states first. Now, if you want, feel free to get a pen and paper. It's kind of lengthy. There's about 32 emotional, or NES's, negative emotional states. Let's just wing them right through them, all right? And remember, you can always go back and check out this podcast and get some more of this really cool stuff, and then I'll give you the name, and you can look up the guy that I was reading about. And I think this is very cool and very effective and helpful. So number 1 is anxious. I'm just going to rip them off. Anxious, sad, empty, alone. Remember, these are negative emotional states. Numb, insecure, unconfident, self-critical, misunderstood, incompetent, isolated, unsupported, outcast, hopeless, unloved, worrisome, unattractive, stressed, resentful, depressed, jaded, bored, inadequate, inferior, frustrated, confused, angry, overwhelmed, unhappy, outdated, envious, and judged. Now, I know you guys have seen or possibly know people that you've bumped into that are probably actually going through a little bit of this stuff, and you're trying to really navigate why it is that they're feeling this way, or maybe that they're falling into these categories. Now, again, that last one, judged, we all find ourselves in that space sometimes. So I think it's our duty not to get into that space and have these negative things rolling through our mind. And we'll get to some ideas that you can do to curb that or help people understand that we are more like each other than you probably expected. And this is a really good time to understand that. So let's get into the P.E.S's, which are the positive emotional states. I'm going to list these off. There's 33. And I don't know if this is ironic or whatever, but there's actually one more positive thing than there are negative. So that's a plus right there. So let's start. Let's list them off. Here we go. P.E.S's, positive emotional states. 1, compassionate, creative, connected, successful, appreciated, deserving, loving, playful, calm, excited, thoughtful, happy, joyous, content, kind, motivated, peaceful, valued, supported, inspired, purposeful, enthusiastic, invigorated, friendly, driven, empowered, confident, attractive, abundant, limitless, present, fulfilled, and last but not least, everybody likes to be relaxed. So, those are the positive emotional states. If we can stay more in those, we would probably be more caring and loving to others, and believe it or not, to yourselves. Because the N.E.S, the negative emotional states, are not serving you well. And believe it or not, when you start getting into these negative emotional states and you get stuck or you just stay in that rut, you feel like it's always happening to you, right? You will get yourself sick. And I know most of you have probably heard about people having psychosomatic triggers when, you start hearing all this negative stuff. So immediately you take it all upon yourself and that's all you're thinking about. Sooner or later, your body's going to kick in and tell you, you know what? It's time to slow down. You're thinking too negative. What happens? Your defense system literally starts to fall apart. You start being sick. You start treating people really badly around you, those kinds of things. So just be mindful of that. Now, I also want to get into the perception on my end. We've actually, and I don't know, most people probably won't do this, but we decided that we like our kids, as they're doing their homework and being home with us and we're connecting with them. My son was he's interested to know what's going on and all the stuff that, talking about the past things that have happened and how unprecedented this actual thing has been in our lifetime or is going to be in our lifetime. We shouldn't forget, because I think it's important that we learn from this, and we should be learning from this. Everything else aside, politics included, we told our children, you know what? This is a great time to actually write down what you're thinking. So basically like a kid journal, if you're not already doing this. We have our kids doing like 1 to 2, actually, I'm lying, like 2 to 5 sentences today. And my wonderful wife, Erin, has definitely been leading the charge on that, and I think it's wonderful because we actually starts conversation. So that's one thing you can do. I know most of us are out of work, except for our awesome healthcare professionals, which I used to be in that industry as well. My family is in that industry, or has been for years and years, on both ends of the family. So I understand how important it is and how stressful it is for them to be doing their job, knowing that they have to sometimes especially in this situation, not actually be in contact with their family for a while because of the lack of care that they are getting, their own self-care. So I give a big shout out to you, much love to you guys, and I wish you all well, and I thank you for everything that you're doing, and also our service members that are out there keeping us safe during this crazy time. And so what do you do when you're out of work? Well, there's lots of things. Thank God for the internet on that, and I'm not talking about Facebook, even though I will use that as a jumping board for most of my stuff. But I'm just talking about in general, doing stuff like this. Maybe you want to do audio journal. Maybe you want to check out podcasts that you normally wouldn't have checked out in the past, or maybe you're just interested in figuring out some other things to do. If you don't cook, maybe you should try to cook. I'm the cook in the house, and I'm going to be helping my son understand how to cook. So that's a cool thing. My wife bakes, so it's kind of a yin and yang thing we have going on here. And to be honest with you, I'm a total introvert when it comes to the way I live my life. So I'm not one to put myself out there. I mean, I do, but in some ways I'm very protective because, yeah, I like Facebook and like to show people what's going on. But, yeah, I'm not going to take you into the bathroom with me. Although I have a friend that does an awesome job with that, and that's a whole other story. But anyways, working on some new endeavors, perfect time. There's going to be opportunity out of this, believe it or not. As we get a grasp on the things that are going on. And as you all know, when things like this happen, it gets a lot worse before it gets better. But all we can do is hang on, support each other, and know that we will come out together at the end. And look for the opportunity. Don't get so stuck in feeling lost with the emotion and fear that can well up inside of you. If you're feeling anxious, the perfect time to start moving around a little bit more. For God's sakes, do not stop moving around. That's the worst thing you can do. If you haven't started, the air is still nice. Believe it or not, people, the birds and everything is still out there, and it makes you happy. So even on a cold, dank day, get outside, go for a little walk, get a nice deep breath. That's the other thing a lot of people aren't doing. Take some deep breaths, people. Take some deep breaths. All right, we'll get right into the next half of this, and we're going to talk about where I got these little things, the P.E.S. and the N.E.S. So let's get into that. We're going to talk about, or I'm going to give you the guy's name, and he's actually associated with Yale. So we're going to talk about Danielle, my gosh, sorry about that. Daniel Cordaro, the Yale Head School of Emotional Intelligence, and his findings on the three cultures, or three fear cultures, as he states, from his writings and his research. There are three specific parts of this in fear cultures, and we're going to talk about them right now. So, basically, as I adjust this, hold on one moment, okay? The culture of aversion, we're going to start with that one. That's number one, right? So the culture of aversion states that, this is the mindset of nothing is enough, or this isn't enough. So you do whatever it takes to avoid shame. So it's more of the self-shaming. And number two would be the culture of scarcity. And that's pretty much what we've been seeing, right? There isn't enough. So I'm going to be competitive with people that I don't know for absolutely no reason. And it becomes more of an emotional thing. You become overprotective and selfish for yourself. And look, I get it. You're trying to take care of your family and all this stuff. But let's understand that people need, and I'm not trying to be funny, but people need toilet paper just like you. Number three, this is the state of feeling you're unworthy or you're not enough. So and I always talk about this, right? That having self-acceptance it becomes like a conditional thing, right? So self-acceptance is not there. So you always think that you're always going to fail, or your expectations are too great, so you're never going to meet them. So those are the three fears. But know that these three things, or fears, right, they are all channeled through our behaviors and our beliefs and our values. So once that goes out the window, that's when you get all this crazy stuff that we're seeing going on right now. And we need to get a handle on this. So if you feel that you are going down this lane. You've been probably on Facebook too long, and as Dr. Daniel, Professor Cordaro says, be in touch with these three emotions or these three fear cultures, because if you are not living in the now and you're not understanding why you are feeling the way that you're feeling and you're just lashing out, you may be even lashing out at your children, lashing out at your spouse. Sometimes it's good to take that step back and understand why you are doing this so that you doesn't become reciprocal and trickle down into the rest of the family. So things that when you know that you're in a good spot, and look, these are things that I've been practicing for years. I still keep in touch with my mentors. Everybody needs a coach, right? I'm a coach. I have a coach. My coaches have coaches. And that's just the way it should be. And that's having that self-accountability, right? We need to be accountable for our actions towards others. Look, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I am aware when I am being a dick, excuse my language, or a prick to somebody, that I need to take a step back and reevaluate my personal way I'm feeling or my belief in my behaviors. So how do we curb these things? I'm going to make this quick, right? So really connecting into your journey is part of it. Find out when you are most aware and be aware more often, right? And remember that this is the time to start thinking about opportunities you probably would have never thought of if you didn't have this time to just sit and be with your own thoughts. Some people do not like to be in their own thoughts. I totally get that, but now is the time to really connect with that. Moving forward, if you're holding grudges, it's probably a good time to connect with those people and throw that stuff out and really hash it down. And understanding the aspect of your belief, right? Having faith is a huge thing here, so keep that faith, people. And look, when you get to the point of having that limitless amount of inner peace, you will, quite honestly, you won't care about anything negative at all, because it won't creep in. And having to sit down and being creatively visual, right? Writing down things and journaling. I don't even care. Just spew it out. Just get it out there, right? Don't hold this stuff in. If you're feeling nasty and you need to talk, maybe post a video of you going through something, or maybe you can help somebody out that way. Help somebody else out that way. And be clear, guys. This is a time for us to be clear as a people, as a country. Be clear of what we really want, right? It's not the time to start bashing each other over the head because this person likes one person more than the other, and you know what I'm talking about. It's time to actually focus on the energy that you have on something that you want to get out of your life, right? Focus on energy. A lot of you guys out there are incredibly talented. Everybody's got a talent. This is the time to hone in, sit down, write it out, ask your spouse, ask your friends, send the emails out, people you haven't talked to, maybe they can help you. Look, nobody's really busy right now. Excuse me, nobody's really busy right now, and if they are, they're lying to you, because most of us are working from home anyways, trying to get through this the best way we know how to. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's a spectrum of human emotions. I hope that sheds some light on and gives you some more positivity. Look, stay in that P.E.S, people. There's 33 of them, right? Positive emotional states. That's what we need. We need more of that. Need to take care of each other. Hug your kids. Reach out to your moms and pops if they're still around. Your grandmoms if she's still around. The neighbor down the street, send them a message. Knock on the door, take a couple steps back, talk through the window. Whatever you got to do. Be careful. Stay safe. Be well. We're going to ride this pony out. Let's get back to being real. Let's get back to being honest with each other. And let's show some love, right? This is your boy Jello, a.k.a. Angelo Hunter, the Inspiration Hunter right here. This is your boy Jello Podcast, special edition right here. Check me out if you want to on iTunes and anywhere else you can get your live streaming podcasts and recorded ones also. So this will not be the last one. I hope to see you soon. Like I said, guys, be there for each other. Break bread with your family. Stay cool, be safe. Much love, much respect. And I will see you the next time on the Your Boy Jello Podcast. Thank you for listening.